guys.
Hi guys.
Priscilla and I are back, and we decided to sit down and record for you guys another infertility chat. We're always on the lookout for really great comments and questions. We received so many, and one that recently caught our attention came from one of our viewers, Lavi, and she has PCOS also. She and her partner struggle with that as well. And she asked a great question. What is something you wish you had known or done at the beginning of your journey? Would you have done anything differently? Which is a great question. It's something that we think about from time to time. So we sat down and sort of assembled our thoughts here and thought we would hit on some of the points that if we could go back in time to the very beginning of our journey, we might think about, you know, doing a little bit differently.
It's worth saying that we both think that everything that we went through made us the people who we are today.
Yeah.
So if we were to change anything in the past, I don't think that we would have gone through what we went through exactly the same, and we wouldn't be the people and the couple that we are today.
We really do think that all of our previous experiences, they add up to exactly who we are right now. And the truth is, I wouldn't change anything about myself or Priscilla or where the two of us are today together. But, you know, all that said, still, we've learned from, you know, our own mistakes and experiences along the way.
And we can actually share and give you guys advice if you are in the beginning of your journey like Lavi is. And if you are, you know, still thinking about what you can do different and what you can do better, here are a few tips from our own experience that, looking back, we were a little bit naive and a little bit unsure how to deal with them, and now we've learned from them.
Yeah,
so,
and it'll help you guys to shape your own experiences.
Yes.
Number one here, the very first thing that, looking back, that we might have considered differently or done differently is to do a better job of researching from the very beginning our insurance options.
Yeah. We lived in America when we first started our infertility journey, and in the US, health insurance is not free. If you are from the US, you know exactly what we're talking about. And at the time, we had insurance via my job. I worked for a global company, so even though we lived in Illinois, that was our home state, my company was headquartered elsewhere. So we didn't have state assistance, or there's some states in the US who are obligated per law to provide infertility assistance, and Illinois is one of them.
Exactly.
But in our case, unfortunately, because of my company being global, we didn't really reap the benefits from, you know, from our insurance and us being based in Illinois.
Yeah, exactly, because we at the time had the opportunity to choose between insurance that I had through my employer or that Priscilla had through hers. And we simply, you know, made the decision based on, you know, who had the better blanket coverage, and it was Priscilla's company at the time. She worked for a much larger company than I did. I worked for a small business in Chicago, and it seemed at the time like we were making the right decision. In a lot of ways we were. You know, we went with the better, more comprehensive coverage. But as Priscilla mentioned, the one rub in all of that is that my provider was based out of Illinois, and it would have provided for us some really great infertility healthcare coverage at the time as well, and it would have just helped us to get things started a little bit faster, and it would have probably redefined in a lot of ways our infertility journey and, you know, what we've gone through up until now. So it's a great first point. I think we would think about it differently had we been of a mind to, but still, here we are right now. We're going through it, and we're making a lot of great progress still today.
So our advice for you guys who are based in countries that, you know, where you need insurance or private insurance to, you know, go through infertility is look into your insurance terms and make sure that infertility is covered. Not all insurances cover tests or even procedures for infertility, but some do. And if you have the opportunity, look into options, you know, insurance options that you can, that perhaps you can switch insurance companies or insurance plans, or something temporary, something additional, because infertility is very, very costly.
Definitely. So thought number two here, the second idea that we came up with is to, it was really centered around me, which was to treat infertility from the very beginning with a little bit more urgency. You know, I think that Priscilla knew right from the beginning. She always had this inkling that this was going to be a situation that she was going to have to deal with, and it was going to in a lot of ways define the process of us trying to have a child together. But I didn't wrap my head around this, I don't think, so well from the very beginning. And I think in a lot of ways it slowed our process down, because it meant that instead of a couple researching things together, and instead of us, going through this process together, in a lot of ways in the beginning it was just Priscilla sort of dragging me along the best way that she knew how. So if I could go back all the way to the very beginning, I would, if I could talk to myself then, I would say, Ryan, treat this more seriously, because it's going to be with you for a really long time. It's not going away. It's not a problem that's just going to solve itself. You need to sit down, you need to do your research, you need to figure out in the best way possible how to be a better partner for your wife, because that's going to ease things up for her, it's going to lessen her stress level, and frankly, it would have lessened mine as well, because there were so many questions that I just didn't have the answers to, and it was my own fault. I didn't provide myself with, I didn't do the research, I didn't provide myself with the necessary information. So, you sort of get where I'm going, I think, with all of this. If I could go back in time, I would say, hey, treat this with urgency, take care of this situation. It's going to better serve you down the road in the future, because it takes two to get through this.
And if you are going through something similar with your partner, whether the problem is with you or with your partner, just make sure that you guys have conversations about it. It may take a long time. It did take a while for us to be on the same page, but it was worth it, all the conversations that we've had, because now we are on the same page. And perhaps we could have treated with a little bit more urgency from the beginning, but all the conversations that we've had, brought us to where we are today.
Definitely.
And then to segue from Ryan's point, point number 3 that we want to make, actually a little bit more relevant to me, is that if I could look back and if I could talk to myself in the beginning, I would tell myself to strike a better balance between being so crazy on my research and trying to look for solutions for my infertility, and relaxing. I think that the first year we tried, we were fine, because we're just, we're not trying per se, we were just like not preventing. But then once we discovered the infertility diagnosis, when that was then confirmed, I became obsessed with it. And I think it happens to a lot of people out there who are perhaps researching, and who are learning for the first time that their dream to become parents would take a while. It could take a while. And it happened to me. I spent like the 2nd and 3rd year of our infertility, I was really quite obsessed, and that generated a lot of stress on myself. I put a lot of stress on myself, a lot of responsibility on myself, and that became depression and anxiety and all these negative feelings that I really didn't enjoy having. And I think that it's very common with infertility. So looking back, I wish that I could tell myself, hey, be a little bit more patient, or try to understand that your journey is your journey, and it will be okay regardless. It's easier said than done. Obviously, right now I look at us and I think to myself, okay, I remember how I felt then. I don't necessarily feel that stressed nowadays, even though we still don't have our baby with us. But I've learned with my experience that this stress level, the high stress level that that we can have in this journey, is just not beneficial. So,
and I think in some ways also it impacted my ability to work with you and to be the partner that you needed me to be as well. Not only was I not doing a good enough job at the time of filling my head with knowledge and of grabbing this by the horns, but then the fact that your stress level was occasionally cresting, I think it made it difficult for me to find myself in lockstep with you, and to take steps together. So, and understand
why I was feeling like this, because I was learning so much information about our situation and about PCOS and about learning so much about it that like it was overwhelming to me. And that became, again, I was quite depressed on occasion, and I think Ryan just kind of, as my partner, looked at me and thought, oh my gosh, what should I do? So I think in life in general it's very important to always try to strike a balance. It's very difficult to accomplish. It's a task that is very difficult, but if I could tell my former self and my younger self when I started this infertility journey, if I could give myself an advice, it would be to still continue to learn, still to move forward, but try to be a little bit more centered with how I was consuming this information.
Yeah, and then we have one last thought for you guys. Our fourth thought is we would have at the time done a better job, we think, looking for support, whether that would be from other people in our community at the time in Chicago, or we would have done a better job of taking advantage of these online communities and seeking out support from people via YouTube and elsewhere.
Right. For me, I didn't know many people with PCOS, and our close friends, we've talked about this in previous videos, they either don't want to have kids or they weren't going through the same situation that we were going through. And I knew two women that actually had PCOS and had gone through fertility treatment. One was Louie, and she was a work colleague that eventually became a friend, and also Stacy, who was a friend of a friend who became my friend, and they both have PCOS and they both are successful now. Stacy has two little beautiful girls, and Louie has a little beautiful girl as well of her own, and they were basically my support. But I was so uncomfortable talking about my situation in the beginning that I wish that I knew better and was okay and accepted the fact that that was a diagnosis, that it wasn't my fault, and that it is not embarrassing to talk about. If you have a infertility diagnosis, you know how overwhelming it can be, especially in the beginning. And I was very shy, and I didn't talk, or I didn't leave comments in the YouTube videos that I was watching, or I didn't ask questions, and I thought that I could do all by myself, and that became really overwhelming. So I think looking for support from people who are on the same boat as you is a really, really great advice.
So there you have it, a few of the things that we would do differently, or a few of the things, a few of the things that we would tell our former selves if we could go back in time and talk to those younger versions of us. So we hope it helped and that you can take something away from it. Definitely contribute here on our channel. Be a part of the conversation. Ask us questions if you have any. Leave us lovely comments, and we read all of them. We really look forward to seeing them.
We really do, and we try our very best to respond to every single comment. If we don't, and you still have a question that by any means we didn't get to you, let us know again. Send us a follow-up or something, and we'll be happy to help, because we know how important it is to receive this kind of support from people who are going through the same thing that you are.
No question.
Yeah.
So guys, if you liked this video, definitely give it a big thumbs up and leave one of those lovely comments down low, and subscribe if you have not, and we will see you again in our next video.
Bye.
Bye.